Listen closely, woman of destiny. Whether you feel it or not, there is a battle raging right now, fierce and spiritual, and it is centered on you. While you've been praying in silence, seeking understanding in the shifting relationships, the closing doors and the whispers of your name. In unfamiliar places, heaven has been actively defending you. You've been removed, not because you were forgotten, but because a war is being fought behind your back. Every time God is preparing to shift the position of a woman chosen for purpose, the atmosphere around her begins to tremble. Tension rises in hidden places. Private conversations become poisoned. Jealousy builds and misunderstandings multiply. The same people who once praised you start to misread your intentions. But this isn't disorder. It's divine validation. Wherever heaven assigns purpose, a conflict is stirred, validating the magnitude of what you carry. You're not under attack because you are weak. You're under attack precisely because you are dangerous to darkness. Hell only wages war against what heaven endorses. A name marked with divine destiny becomes a threat in realms unseen. So while you wrestle with an inner unrest, heaven is moving behind the veil to guard what you can't yet perceive. You have no idea how many times God has intervened on your behalf, silently making decisions to safeguard your future. What you viewed as rejection was, in truth, preservation. You weren't cast aside, you were cloaked, not abandoned but covered. God saw rooms you weren't meant to be in, voices that would corrode your spirit, and so he whispered, "Not here, not now, not with them." Because the longer you remained, the deeper the damage would have sunk. You weren't overlooked, you were rescued. So many women call it betrayal when heaven calls it repositioning. The presence of betrayal is often the loudest sign that God is orchestrating elevation. Every shift in calling requires a refining in company. You cannot ascend while staying tethered to people who secretly battle the very thing God anointed in you. Some spaces simply lack the grace to sustain your next dimension. When God removes you, it is not to harm you, it is to realign you. Trust the divine strategy even when it looks like loss. The spiritual war behind you often disguises itself as ordinary chaos before you, arguments, distancing friendships, swirling confusion. But it's not random, it's tactical. The enemy can't destroy your destiny, so he tries to derail your emotions by creating chaos around you. And this is why discernment becomes crucial. You must look deeper than behavior and recognize the spirit behind it. This is not a war between you and them. It is the eternal tension between light and darkness, truth and deception, purpose and distraction. And when God withdraws his voice in a moment like this, don't be alarmed. Silence does not mean absence. It's his signal that he's doing work too sacred for your eyes. God will hide you so he can keep you holy. He permits accusations and misunderstanding not to hurt you, but to reveal what lies underneath the surface of those around you. He allows opinions to be spoken, not because they define you, but because they expose intentions. Silence from heaven isn't rejection, it's refinement. When you feel overlooked, understand that heaven has made your invisibility part of the blueprint. Hiddenness is not punishment, it is preparation. Queens are trained in quiet places. Every wound you suffer is teaching you deeper discernment. Every delay is developing endurance. Every extraction is building resiliency. And no, God is not ignoring your agony. He is anointing it. He is shaping a character in you that will soon carry the weight of influence without crumbling under it. That's why his silence is not a neglectful pause. It's a careful molding. You are not being punished. You are being readied. One day, those who questioned, dismissed, or whispered against you will witness your restoration. Heaven never validates halfway. When God reveals you again, the proof of his hand will be undeniable. The same mouths that mocked you will one day say, "She was chosen." The same spaces that rejected you will seek your wisdom. Heaven never removes what it doesn't plan to redeem. And heaven never hides without the intent to unveil. Know this, every divine calling will be trailed by divine conflict. The moment God identifies a woman for significant purpose, hell identifies her as a problem. Great callings don't come without resistance. The spiritual realm recognizes potential long before you do. Before your feet ever touch the road of your destiny, the forces of darkness will rise. not because of where you've been, but because of where you're going. And the enemy does not mobilize an army against ordinary. He strikes at what carries eternity within it. The battle you feel pressing against your life isn't a coincidence, it's confirmation. Something eternal lives inside you, and its activation threatens the very gates of hell. Every woman marked to influence must know the storm isn't an accident, it's applause. Conflict is not catastrophe, it's heaven's complement. The reason certain seasons have felt reckless, relentless, and unpredictable isn't because you failed, it's because you were found to be faithful. The enemy doesn't fear your talents, your beauty, or your influence. He fears your assignment. He knows that once you truly see yourself through God's design, you cannot be stopped. So every pain, every betrayal, every diversion is deliberate. Every false word was launched to steal your sight. Because if the enemy can cloud how you see yourself, he can blur how you walk in purpose. But even in this, the strategy of God wins. Your fight is validation. Heaven has already confirmed what hell is contesting and what's rooted in divine. Purpose cannot be plucked by darkness. When God removes you, it is never about rejection. It's always for protection. Many women misread divine separation as abandonment when, in truth, it's rescue. Some atmospheres seem harmless, but are secretly saturated with toxins. Because God sees further than you do, He removes you before that hidden poison can contaminate your spirit. You may never understand why God disconnected you from what once felt essential, but trust, He saw what your heart couldn't. Sometimes God ends relationships you would have kept forever, not to hurt you, but to preserve the revelation He's entrusted to you. Not every smiling face harbors kindness. Some people clap in public but question you in secret. Some celebrate your presence while silently competing with your promise. God steps in not to shame them, but to shield you. He'll remove you gently before unseen bitterness manifests in betrayal. Though it wounds your heart, it's the mercy of heaven. You are not being ignored. You are being insulated. When God pulls you out of certain rooms, He's not only protecting your heart, He's safeguarding your legacy. There are spaces so polluted by slander and judgment that God will relinquish your voice in order to guard your name. He lets your absence speak louder than any defense you could mount yourself. What looks like a loss may be wisdom playing out in disguise. Divine removal is a father's way of wrapping spiritual armor around the value you carry. Your worth is not in the hands of the people who misunderstood you, and your purpose cannot be determined by envied rooms. You weren't removed because you lacked value. You were removed because your value exceeded what they were prepared to handle. The favor on your life is too precious for mismanagement. Heaven is not late, it is strategic. When relocation happens, it means your purpose has outgrown your surroundings. What once supported your development may now stunt your destiny, and God, in His mercy, won't allow you to remain in any place that limits what He's planted inside of you. What feels disorienting to you is divine choreography to Him. You think you're being removed, He's simply rerouting. Every divine separation carries within it a divine assignment. You are not being abandoned, you are being assigned anew. There are moments when God will slam shut doors you begged Him to open. Not because He's cruel, but because He already looked on the other side. He saw the trap set under friendly smiles, the exhaustion that would have emptied you, and the detours that would have robbed you. And so, quietly and with precision, He says no, not to punish, but to protect. His removal is strategic positioning. He treats His daughters like living gems, delicately repositioning them into places their brilliance can glow without compromise. If He pulls you out, it's because He plans to raise you up, and it may not make sense at first. You may stare at the rooms you've left behind and wonder why your name no longer echoes there. You may feel erased, but know this: invisibility is part of the strategy. God is shielding your preparation because public anointing demands private refining. The spaces that once embraced you cannot contain your becoming. Divine removal precedes destined manifestation. And when nothing seems to be happening, when the heavens go quiet, it doesn't mean you've been and forgotten. Heaven's silence is often the sound of careful craftsmanship. It is too sacred for commentary. When God goes quiet, it's because He's building something that requires total focus. His silence is His shield. He withholds His voice, not to confuse you, but to calibrate you. In stillness, He sharpens discernment. In hiddenness, he shapes wisdom. Don't mistake this still season as stagnation. When nothing appears to move, trust that everything is shifting beneath the surface. Sometimes he's not waiting on your obedience. He's waiting for your panic to settle, your faith to rise. God does his best work in the quiet. While it feels like you're standing still, unsure, forgotten, he is drawing new lines onto the blueprints of your life. You ask for answers, but he's giving you something better. Trust. And though it feels like heaven isn't listening, every tear you've cried in silence has been collected by heaven as testimony. God is not ignoring your ache. He is storing it as evidence for your vindication. In time, what was wept in secret will become the foundation of a victory celebrated in the open. He holds silence not because he's indifferent, but because what he is doing is too deep, too deliberate to be explained prematurely. Before he places you in a position of influence, he must first establish the depth of your character. God allows false judgment not to break you, but to build your strength under pressure. He tests you when no one is watching, because influence birthed in obscurity carries weight that cannot be shaken when the spotlight comes. Vindication is not merely about clearing your name. It is about proving God faithful. He will restore you so thorough. Ugly, so undeniably that your breakthrough answers questions your words never could. Your life will speak for itself. Your fruit will silence every accusation. The pain that has surrounded you, the isolation that tried to suffocate you, the whispers that twisted your identity, none of it will be wasted. All of it is part of the narrative heaven is writing with your life. Woman, you don't need to explain how strong you've had to be. You don't owe your story to every listener. Just wait, because when God moves, he speaks in ways your silence never could. His vindication is final. No voice can rise against what God vindicates. No lie can outlast his justice. He will command honor to return to your name, not because you fought to restore it, but because you chose to keep your peace while he prepared your promotion. The fire didn't burn you, it refined you. The silence didn't crush you, it trained you. The betrayal didn't break you, it positioned you. And when God lifts you again, it will be evident that his hand was on you the entire time. Do not mourn the rooms that no longer accommodate you. Their ceilings were too low. Their perspective was too narrow. Their appreciation too shallow. God is taking you where the air is clearer, the vision sharper, and the assignment greater. You were never designed to play small for the comfort of others. This transition isn't your ending, it's your entrance. You don't emerge from this storm as a woman trying to recover. You emerge as one who has been reborn. New fire, new insight, new strength. The battle behind your back was the sound of heaven building your platform. Every silent night was a mixing of divine oil. Every rejection carved your capacity. Every loss deepened your wisdom. You have been calibrated in private for influence in public. You wear the wounds of endurance like hidden jewels only heaven sees. And while others celebrated quickly, your process was longer because the promise on your life is larger. You don't rise to prove anything. You rise because it's who you are. This unveiling will not require announcement. Your results will declare it. There will be no need for shallow affirmations when the substance of your story carries undeniable power. Your maturity has matured. Your voice has been purified. You no longer react out of wounded pride, but respond from healed purpose. This next season will not be built from the pain of proving, but from the peace of knowing your crown has been forged in fire, and now, woman of destiny, it fits. Remember this, the enemy does not waste artillery on irrelevance. If your fight has been fierce, it's because your future threatens hell's agenda. What stalks you in the spirit is merely reacting to what heaven has already declared about you. But no matter how hard the winds blow, what's anchored cannot be moved. Your faith has survived the storm. Your identity has endured the shaking. You no longer need people's understanding. When you walk in divine instruction, God has stripped you of attachment so that your identity is not wrapped up in applause. He has silenced distractions so you can become fluent in his whispers. And because you've passed the test, because you've stayed when it would have been easier to run, bitten your tongue when it would have been easier to defend yourself, and prayed when no one was watching, he is releasing a glory tied not just to your name, but to your obedience. This is the reward not of perfection, but of perseverance. Now the unveiling begins. You will not have to fight to be seen. Heaven will make you undeniable. The favor that follows you next will confuse those who knew your past. God specializes in lifting up the very ones dismissed by men. The questions that haunted you will be answered not by explanations, but by the clarity of your elevation. You will shine without striving, lead without manipulating, and grow without compromising. This influence will not intoxicate you. It will humble you, because you remember the nights when your voice echoed only in prayer and your tears had no audience. Now God places you before the very crowd that once questioned the call. You are not a survivor hiding your scars. You are a revelation walking. What they meant for harm, heaven used for construction. What was sent to silence you only softened you for sacred speech. The woman you are becoming will carry wisdom that cannot be argued and authority that cannot be faked. You've been through too much to be swayed by surface things. Your discernment will cut through noise. Your peace will disrupt chaos. Your presence will shift atmospheres because your soul has been steeped in the presence of God. Let them wonder how. Let them whisper why. But you, woman of God, stay focused, stay faithful, stay found at his feet. Your vindication is not a moment, it's a movement. God does not simply restore, he redefines. He repurposes pain and places power in the hands of those purified by silence. This is not your reward for striving. This is your inheritance for surrender. You were chosen not by people, but by providence. Not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. And now heaven rolls out the carpet of fulfillment before you. The battle, sister, was never about what you lost. It was about what you were about to carry. So rise, not in bitterness, but in boldness. Don't carry the weight of resentment into the rooms God is about to walk you into. They were designed for your purpose, not your proof. You no longer have to audition for belonging. You've been stamped by his sovereignty. Your scars are your signature. Your warfare, your witness. Your silence didn't mean defeat. Your silence meant you chose sanctification over retaliation. This is what maturity looks like. This is what royalty sounds like. This is the posture of a woman who has learned to lose with grace and win with humility. You no longer compete, because when you understand your divine assignment, you understand your lane, and no one can outrun you in territory marked with your name. God is not finished forming you. He is forever unfolding you. But this new season is not about hiding anymore. It's about stepping forward full of dignity, authority, and divine remembrance of who sustained you. You are evidence that silent seasons have a purpose. You walk with the oil of intercession, the clarity of a soul that has waited on God, and the quiet strength of one who has stood between what's dying and what must be born. You carry revival not by volume, but by virtue. And though the world may never understand the cost, heaven could not ignore it. God has appointed vindication, not as a momentary comfort, but as a divine announcement. When he reveals you, it is not only for your sake, but for those who need to see what faith under fire produces. Your story becomes a blueprint, your life a signpost, and every battle that occurred behind your back becomes a backdrop for glory. So don't resent the loneliness. Don't curse the silence. Don't regret the removal. They were all instruments in the orchestra of your becoming. You are not returning to who you were. You are being presented as who you truly are. What once looked like breakdown was, in fact, breakthrough. Heaven was not punishing you. It was pulling you from pretense and posturing you for promise. Every loss was divine subtraction to make room for spiritual multiplication. Now comes the harvest of tears, the return of peace, the revelation of purpose. You will no longer walk bent beneath the weight of questioning. You will walk upright as one who has seen the fire, felt the rejection, endured the silence, and still chosen to serve. That is your vindication. Not that you avoided pain, but that pain did not alter your purpose. That though you were wounded, you did not wander. You stayed, you grew, you yielded. And now heaven answers back, not with defense, but with destiny.